Hello, this is Margaret Ajibode, the STEM Positive Disruptor, and I have a special guest on Mia's conversation, which is Roberta Moraes. She's a water resources engineer, and she's going to tell us about herself. We're celebrating her. The reason why this podcast has been set up is we want to educate and raise awareness, change people's perception, and demystify what STEM is, that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We want to bring the public into our domain, and we want to also show the diverse roles that we have within the profession. And Roberta is a prime example of that and her role. So she's going to give us more about that. So welcome, Roberta.
Thank you very much, Margaret.
Okay.
It's really nice to be here.
Thank you. So please tell us more about yourself and what you do and your journey. Thank you.
Yes, so I'm originally from Brazil. My background is in environmental and urban engineering. Currently, I'm living in the UK. I live in Bristol, and I work for Jacobs as a consultancy company. Before that, I was doing a master's degree in marine environment and resources. So I have been living in Europe since 2019, and now I work at Jacobs as a water resources engineer under the flood risk management team.
Okay, so tell us more about what does a water resources engineer do, and how does that involve with the climate and everything else?
We have a various team, like a diverse team, because our main team is like water catchment management, and under it we have people working with river engineering, with flood risk management, with water science, modeling. So we do everything that is related to water and water resources management, including flood risk, which is the part that I work at. So what we do in the UK is to support our clients to mitigate flood risk. So we analyze where the flood is coming from, what was the event that triggered the flooding, and we try to help them to implement actions that are going to mitigate the risk if it is economically feasible.
Indeed, interesting. Because I'm also very much aware that you're also an assistant project manager, and you also, in a way, you're actually looking at the overview of what's happening within your catchment. Can you expand on that? Because I know that your journey started in Jacobs when you were in Brazil as well, and then you came here. You went hoping to be more of a specialist, but you decided this was not for you. So can you just tell us more about that, please?
Yeah. I used to work for Jacobs back in Brazil between 2015 and 2019 before I came to Europe to do the master's. And I left the company because I wanted to be more of an expert in a specific topic and narrow down my knowledge. And then, because when I was in Brazil, I was working mostly with water resources and project management. Like my main role there was to be allocated at the site, and I was supporting the client in, it was a water and wastewater client. So we were supporting them into directing their resources into the investments they had to do to meet some contract requirements. And then I was like, but I want to be more specific. I want to be an expert. So I came to Europe and I rejoined Jacobs under the water team again. And at some point I realized that I really like to work more generally speaking. So literally understand a little bit of a lot of topics instead of being an expert in knowing everything about just one thing. So I'm also working as an assistant project manager, soon to be project manager at some point. And I work as an APM in a major flood risk program, asset management program in London, because we are looking into raising flood risk assets and analyzing how we can better respond to climate change. But in that project, I'm mostly working as a project manager, an assistant project manager. So I overlook how we deliver those projects, which is also very interesting, very nice, because my background in water resources and environmental engineering helps me understand what needs to be delivered. So it does make me a better assistant project manager to having the knowledge in the technical part.
Indeed, you're so right. And this also shows that, again, that as an engineer, you don't have to only be technical. You can also diversify and do much more than, and you're a prime example. You actually call it a general engineer, where you have an overview of what's going on within the project and how, in relation to water engineering, and how you relate to, how do you deal with the climate change issue. So what are the key things that are happening? So yeah, what are the key things that are happening in order to combat this issue? Because it's a big issue and we have to be very proactive to make sure we don't make it worse, but actually puts in some, mitigate the issues so we can actually manage it much better than we have done before.
Yeah, exactly. Like nowadays, after so many years of research, we know that the traditional approach is not going to be enough to mitigate climate change and its consequences. So we are always trying to incorporate more nature-based solutions into our projects, which is something I was doing before Jacobs as well. And during the master's, I was also working as a nature-based solutions analyst. And right now, it's a bit difficult. Sometimes it's challenging to incorporate only nature-based solutions because it's still a novel, and there are some things, some areas like London, for example, we cannot risk using only nature-based solutions. So we are still looking into the traditional engineering approach to use like barriers and walls and other like concrete assets. But we're also looking into using salt marshes and natural ecosystems in order to face climate change, because we know we need a combination of both to preserve the environment and to protect our assets.
Of course. I mean, that, you know, you made a good point. It's not about, yes, we do have the tradition and we also have the nature. I mean, it's about combining. It's looking for the best solution for the situation we're facing. And that's what we should really be looking. We should always be aware of what is needed and do what we need to do. So based on that, thank you so much. Based on that, what do you think would be, from your perspective, because again, I know you've been working for a few years now, as the good, the bad, and the ugly of your industry?
I guess at this point, especially after pandemic, during pandemic, we are still in a pandemic situation, it's budgeting, because we don't have enough resources to do everything we would like to. So we have to work with very constrained budgets, because a lot of the public resources had to go to help people cope with the pandemic. So I feel that if we had more resources available, we would be able to innovate more. But at the same time, I also know there are funds directed towards innovation. So even within the company, we are always trying to do our best to innovate and to get people's knowledge and research, combine them and try to apply them in our projects. So again, I would say that the worst part right now is actually having the resources to achieve the potential we know we can. Like our client, it's not their fault as well that our clients don't have the budget, because everyone is struggling right now. So we are all in the same boat, I guess.
Indeed. And so from your perspective, as your role in your job, what would you say is the enjoyable part? Because, you know, we all have passion, and I know you're very keen, you're very passionate about the environment and everything else. So based on your working environment and what you're doing and what you're seeing happening, what would you tell me is a very fantastic, good thing for you from your perspective?
I think it's my perspective, like, that changed over the years. When I started studying engineering, I thought I was going to be very technical person, as I said. And I feel that engineering is much more about solving problems. So like if you have a constrained budget, but you still have a problem to do, you have to get creative about it.
Very much so.
Yeah, so the thing I love the most about being an engineer and being passionate about the environment is always trying to cope with the problems in a way that we can deliver stuff within the budget as fast as we can, but with the quality that is required. So I think being an engineer is being creative, being open-minded, and like you have to have good problem-solving skills. It's like the main thing, more than knowing how to calculate stuff. At least in my perspective and the role I do, because I'm not a designer, of course. Being a general engineer is much more about solving problems than about anything else. And that's the thing I love the most about it.
That's good. You know, and this is quite nice because again, what we're saying, we want to bring the public into our domain. We want the public to see what we do and the enjoyable part. And we're not saying it's all, you know, there's a mixture. We have the good times and the bad times. You talked about because of the pandemic, the budget is not as great as it was with the issue, but you understand it. But also being an engineer or a general engineer, actually an engineer in general, you have to be creative because you still have to produce the solution to combat the issues that we're facing every day. And your clients are expecting you to be able to produce a solution, even though they don't have the money. So in that respect, I do appreciate it. And it's also, you enjoy what you do. I mean, and also you're living your world because you're very passionate about the environment and how you can improve on how we live in our world and climate change and how to mitigate that issue where climate change is concerned. So based on your experience, and I know that working in Brazil and then working here, do you have many females working in your industry?
Not as much as I would like to see, for sure.
Okay.
Especially in positions of power, I guess. I guess at my company, we are like quite balanced and we are very concerned about it. But I guess promoting STEM as you do is extremely important because when I was a kid, I was lucky that I had my grandfather telling me, you should be an engineer because engineers make a lot of money. And I'm like, okay.
Why
That's not necessarily true, but
that's true.
Maybe it was back then when he told me that, like 1 to 5 years ago. So I had someone supporting me to become an engineer and work with STEM professions. But it's not always the case. We have a lot of young girls that are not as supported to pursue the career they actually want to, and like having all the cards. So I feel that as a company, we are trying to promote STEM more as well, because we need more women in the work environment, because it's not about having women or having men, it's about having diversity, a diverse, like diverse thoughts around. So we have to have everyone's perspective.
Very true. I mean, you're quite right. It's not about a gender issue. It's about getting the type of people or the diverse team that will enable you to produce the right solution, to enable you to be more effective, and also improves the profit margin as well. Because sometimes we overlook that. We think we need to have people that are similar or we think we're comfortable with, whereas that doesn't always trigger off the best out of you. It doesn't optimize what you could potentially have. And so thank you so much. And yes, and I'm so grateful that your company is also thinking about ways of attracting more females into the industry, especially where engineering is concerned, because I think sometimes because they don't see people like us or people that they can feel comfortable with, they prefer to go to a place where, or go to a profession that they feel I can at least be more comfortable in itself. So that's good. So based on your experience, because I know the environment is very, very key and very passionate about you, and I know that there are things that you yourself would like to see happen. So, and just in a general perspective, can you give me 5 practical solutions that would help, that would encourage people, things that would turn around not just the industry, but also how we can manage what's happening with the environment itself? Because I think we should not overlook that, because one of the things I do want is for us as engineers or in that STEM world to be proactive. We have to think out of the box. And one of the things I would love to see is I want solutions that we can send out there so that industry, so that the school education system, the government can start talking about it. And then the media can then portray or tell the right story rather than tell the story that is just going to bring everybody down, but change the flip on its side. So if you can please give us 5 practical solutions that you feel that will make a difference, not just from the recruitment side of bringing people and retaining, but also from a general perspective where the environment is concerned.
I'll try to. That
is okay.
I guess related to my work and the things I do, I guess people should be more participative, like people should get engaged with the cause. So I would say that the first thing that everyone should be more concerned about is like, where does your water comes from and where does it go? You know, because I feel people often take it for granted, the water resources in general, and everyone should be aware of the where it comes from and where it goes. So this is something that I personally want to do. Like I want to try to go to schools and like promote more the treatment of water, and so everyone is aware of it. Second, I would say we should all be more concerned about waste and reducing waste in the source, because unfortunately recycling is not as easy and cheap as we think it is. So although we should recycle and we should keep trying to do our best and innovate with materials and the procedures to recycle, we should also be concerned about our consumption habits and what are we actually doing with the environment? Like what are we consuming and do we need those things? I would also say, I don't decide to so far. I guess we should also, as parents, family, and like when we are around kids and teenagers, we should also do what my grandfather did to me. We should put all the cards on the table and tell them they can be whatever they want to be, and be very clear about what we think, but always give them a choice and not put kids in boxes based on their genders. Because this is something, it's very important for the future. We are seeing like STEM professions being needed every day, and we need everyone from everywhere, and we need diversity. Can I name only three? Because now I cannot come anything.
No, but you know, it's true, because I think in a way, what people don't know is that we had this conversation before, and we had some technical issues. And one of the things you also,
I was trying to remember what I said before.
No, it's okay. But one of the things you were saying is about the passion you have always, you know, because you're passionate about the environment. You want to bring it, you want to be a change, make that change, I mean, be the difference in your environment. And then, you know, it's also about, you talked about the young people, parents, and not, as you were saying also, that not everyone would have the opportunity to have their grandparent or parents who know, because unless they have that information readily available, they can't really make an informed decision, or they can't really help their young child coming up, or for females. And as you're saying, diverse teams. So these are key elements that I think we need to address, and we need to change and flip it on its side. So you know, because I just want them to know that you're very passionate, because I always remember to say it's about knowing yourself and knowing what you want, because you started off technical and you realize that you want much more than just being a technical or a specialist. You want to be more generic, and that means you decided to go into that project management role, which gave you an overview so that you can you know the different elements that will help you to produce the right solution. So
I read a phrase these days. It was like, we need more people who are passionate about the things they do, because these people are the ones that are going to make a change, make a difference in the world. And now that, thank you for reminding me.
Well, thank you. But it's, you know, hey, I don't want to tell them it's my fault that we have to do this. But hey, no, it's okay. No. My hands are up.
Yeah, so I do think that knowing what you want to do is something very important, because like I tried several things, and I guess trying is really important, because if you don't try enough things, if you are unsure of what you're going to do, if you don't try all of them, you're always going to be like, what if I had done that? So trying different things, it's very important. This is what I did. And knowing myself and knowing what I actually want right now, and knowing what I'm good at and knowing what I'm not good at. And it's okay. You know, you don't have to focus in the things you know you're not good at. Focus on your potential. Focus on the things you know what to do. Like people used to tell me, like, you're going to be a great project manager. And I was like, but I want to do technical stuff. So give me technical tasks. And I was never able to. That's why I went for the master's. And then until I realized myself, like, yes, I'm going to be a good project manager. I'm happy, very happy to work with engineering, and I want to manage engineering projects. And not being an engineer myself and having experience as a water resources engineer is what's going to make me a better project manager. So I'm very happy knowing that right now, because I'm not the person who is going to be coding the whole day and like having my face in the computer the whole day. I know I have more soft skills, and these are very important. So I motivate people and I support people to go look after their dreams and the things they want to do.
Yes.
Because the world is so big, we need people doing everything. You don't need to be a super technical engineer to be to make a difference. Like you can be an engineer and still like do many of things, be more like of a policymaker and supporting other fronts and still being a STEM professional.
And you know, you could have said it any better than I could. I mean, this is wonderful. It's be and you can be anything, and it's never too late as well, because you have to try. Because if you didn't try, if you didn't do the masters and you didn't have a taste of what a project manager is, you won't have known what's your potential. And what you've done is enhance yourself, because it's not just about being technical, but also the soft skills you gain, and it's the management style, management skills. There's so much more. And you know, as engineers, we have to be very diverse. We have to have diverse skill sets. And you're a prime example of that. And you also enjoy what you do. And it's also about what you're passionate about, the environment. So, you know, I am just so grateful, Roberta, and I'm, you know, I want to say more, but don't worry, I've been saying more. But as I said, I'm just so grateful for you to coming on board and just sharing what you do. And it's also about celebrating what you've done, because you've had a few years doing this, and you know you've got so much to give to the world. And I just can't wait to see you in that bright light as well, and then just enjoy celebrating what you've achieved as well. So thank you very much, Roberta. I really appreciate you coming on board. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm very happy. Thank you.
Thank you. This is again another episode of Mia's Conversation, and we've had with Roberta Moraes, a water resource manager, an engineer, and she's also an assistant project manager as well. And you know, I just a wonderful thing. Again, the reason why we set up this podcast is to be able to educate, change people's perception, raise awareness, and demystify what STEM is, that science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, but bring the public into our domain and show the diverse roles. And this is a prime example of what a different role within the engineering world is all about. So again, thank you again, Roberta, for coming on board. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you. Thank you.